Not going live. Oh, there we go. Hello and welcome to the Social Recruiting Show, the Australian edition. I'm without my sidekick, Audra Knight. It's very strange. I'm Katrina Collier. I'm a social recruiting trainer and speaker, and I'm super excited to be speaking to two talent acquisition Aussie legends. I don't know, I'm allowed to call you Aussie, but anyway. Hassanah Rudd, who's not really Australian. A ring in, aren't you? And Mark Mansour, thank you so much for joining me. Just me, not by myself.
Yeah, had to. It's you.
Nigel, no friend. It's very funny.
Thanks for having us.
I'm so used to her. They're at midnight, so where's she? She'll be at 7 p.m. So she could have joined in, really. Should have made us.
It was a poor show, really. Yeah.
Don't worry about your children and husband. Come on the show.
Yeah.
So, start with Hassanah. Tell us how you've ended up in, well, really recruitment and, of course, in Australia, for that matter.
Yeah, so as you can tell by the accent, it isn't quite Aussie. I'm originally from the north of England, but been down this end of the planet for close to 24 years, 25 maybe. I moved out, obviously, when you were very young, very young. But I spent 20 years in New Zealand. I've got my Kiwi passport. I consider myself Kiwi, which goes down so well with the Aussies on that one. I have actually had people go, oh, you took the long way around to get to the lucky country, you know, because you're a Pom and then you're a Kiwi and it's not good. Been in Sydney about 4 years. And I got into recruitment in a really odd way. I worked at the job centre in Oxford for quite a few years. And this is way back in the day, way back. And when people used to ring in, yeah, I was very young, like I said, very young. When people used to ring in the jobs into the job centre, it took 3 days from the call in to actually get them up on the boards. So we were like physical pieces of paper on the boards. And the temp jobs, of course, this was useless. So I actually said, well, do you know what? I think we should bypass that system and actually have a specialty like temp place. So I basically set up a temp shop inside of the job centre. So I bypassed all of that and actually, you know, set up this this ability to actually connect the jobs quicker to the people and all this. And all the agencies I was dealing with were like, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. And then when I left there and went to New Zealand, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I started life in industrial recruiting. Industrial temp controller. Yeah.
Yeah, I trained a client on that the other week. It's bloody hard because stupid Brexit, let's not go there, is making it so tough. There's such a shortage of the case. It's crazy. So how about now? What are you doing now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now I am in-house. I'm talent acquisition manager at NBN.
When did you get in-house?
That would be, about 3.5 years ago. Yeah, when I moved to Australia, I had planned to go back. That was it. I was done with my agency days. I was out, and I completely blame Troy Hammond for this. Totally. It was definitely Troy. So basically, just before I left, he put me in touch with his CEO at this IT agency. And we basically went for coffee for 20 minutes, an hour 40, basically. She offered me a job, and it was a great job. It was an absolutely great job. So my last role in agency, I was a GM for New South Wales for Kendall IT. So it was entirely his fault. But after that, it was an old boss of mine, Keith Muirhead, who's absolutely amazing. And it was the third time he tried to tap me up, and the timing was right. And he was like, look, I need a new head of recruitment in Australia. Can do this. So
Mark, you can just speak and interrupt. Like, we don't care. You could say, Audra, hi, Audra.
Like, no, I've been readily told that I need to be a bit more concise. So I think that's what
interrupt each other, and we don't care, and it's all good.
I'll wait my turn.
I could put Audra on, but it's funny she's there sitting having supper or something and not able to come on. So dinner time. So, Mr. Mansour, how did you end up in the world of recruitment?
How did I end up? That's a great question. So I just want to first explain. I don't look like I'm from. I know I look like I'm from the Jordan Shore or Jersey Shore. It is the mood lighting in this room. Okay, so I'm not super.
I think we're going for the look younger lighting.
Totally.
But how did I get into recruitment? I sort of fell into it as well, like most people. I worked in a data center many years ago. So I was a originally got really new board for me. So I sort of spat the dummy and got out of there and was looking for something different. I actually started off in door-to-door sales. Optus, or one of the telco providers here. Aussie.
Thanks.
Yeah, I know. I was one of those annoying people knocking on your door going, hey, you want to buy this, you want to buy this, come on, right? That was me.
Yeah.
I was 18.
I used to work weekends, and you guys would wake me up on my day off, which was Tuesday.
Hey, that's
It was probably Mark. You get this? It was probably Mark.
I probably sold to you. But I was 18 doing that, and I was really good at it. And I remember my first week, I did about $1,000 worth of sales. So I earned $1,000 commission. And I was like, awesome. So I was 18, earning $50,000 a year. And I was like, that's amazing. Got headhunted by one of the company, and the whole team was terrible. And ultimately, the general manager said, why don't you recruit little marks? So, what the hell's recruitment? What does that mean? So, I ended up stepping up. Yeah, basically. So, I was selling people the dream. It was 2003. There was the dot-com bubble had burst, and I was selling people the dream. I had people who were proper telco BDMs who'd been earning $200K, but I'd sold the dream to, and they got in, they were knocking on doors. I feel so terrible saying that now, but that's what the job was. So ultimately, that sort of got me into recruitment. It didn't provide the satisfaction in terms of, you think about candidate experience and actually people coming to work and enjoying what they do. That was horrendous. And I felt, I feel bad thinking back about employing people, which is so crap to say, but anyway. Got a job in an agency, and honestly, the rest is history. It was IT, and it was cool. I got in, picked up the terminology because I knew it already, and basically I honed my skills by looking at what recruiters were doing wrong.
Yeah.
That was a big thing. It was like,
it's not easy to look for.
It's a very large, broad area.
But that's why I'm so amazing. There was so many of that.
Myself. Are you 25 now or in-house?
Yeah.
So I'm in-house now. So I head up a recruitment team at a company called Servian. So they're a data analytics consultancy. Yeah. They're 220 strong, so going really well. It's honestly an amazing company to work for. It's honestly really good. It is really good to work for a company where you get out of bed and you're like, you know what? I enjoy going to work, right? I've got an awesome team. I've got an awesome management team. CEO's a rock star. But people just get in and crack on. They're adults. People love to learn, and this place trains people. So it's it's super cool.
Nice what I'm hearing out of that conversation, though, is you're saying people love to learn. You're not going, oh, well, we're full of millennials and only millennials want to learn. Yeah. That's really nice to hear.
No,
I want to learn just because I'm old.
I hate that stuff. I can't bear that whole thing of, what do millennials want? It's like, somehow they're different people. Yeah. Like, they've got 7 heads and a pimple. It's like, it is
we just had so we've done 4 graduate recruitment events over the course of the last 3 weeks. Now, graduate recruitment events are always a little bit fun. A little bit fun. There's amazing people you meet, and then there's some people that should really ask for a refund from the university. It is. I don't understand. So I didn't go to uni. I was a geek, and I did a lot of learning growing up, right? But if I went to uni and
who are all really done really well.
Yeah, the closest I got to it is I did a diploma in business studies and finance while working full time. So I did that for 2 years. So that was as close as I got with what is now Manchester Met University. And after I did that, I was like, that's it. I can't do that again. But I'm dyslexic, so I really struggled.
How's it held any of us back?
So I can't.
You can learn on the job. You can still create a career for yourself without the piece of paper.
Well, listen, I don't think what we do is...
Yeah. But I think that's the key thing, though, isn't it? It's the ability to still be curious enough to learn and want to learn, I count myself as a double diversity hack, because not only am I female, but I have neurodiversity.
The reality is what we do isn't hard, right? I don't think what we do is a hard job. Right? I think you're just got to have common sense, and you need to be able to communicate. Hey, listen, there's a lot of people who can't do it. Not everyone can do it.
You know what I think is hard now? Like, I just think it's hard getting someone's attention, which obviously is the thing I talk about all the time. But it's because we've become so lazy. Whereas back when we all started, we had to pick the phone up. You know, you've done door-to-door knocking. We did phone. Yep. And so we just like, well, what do you mean they're not answering you? Have you tried dialing? You know, old school. But so for us, it's easy because we've been through the change. Whereas I think if you come now, you hide behind the technology.
I don't understand how you can do that.
Yeah, I agree, because I started recruiting before the internet. This is how old I am.
When you were 5.
And you know, and even it's seriously because I started when I was 5. And one of the companies I worked for in New Zealand, because I've covered like pretty much every range of recruiting that there was in every sort of sectors, and there was this huge deal because we were the very first to ever get the internet. And one person had an email address, which was the team assistant. We were like, oh, what's this? How are we going to use this type of thing? But you know. Yeah, but you were permanently attached to the phone because that is how you ran things. This is how you did things. And you actually developed very, very strong communication skills because you had to influence like that. And, you know, it's interesting because Mark and I were talking about this the other last night about, you know, moving to like CV lists. When I started my training in temp consulting, I found it personally insulting if a client asked me for a CV because I sold my temps in over the phone and booked them in. At no point was I ever sending a CV. And this was like, you know, I was, you know, top of the day, it was probably running 120 temps. Not one of them went in with a CV. I was like, if someone asked me for a CV, I'm like, what is it I haven't told you about this person? You are, you know, you have hesitations. Talk to me about this. I'm not sending you a CV.
Well, when I think back to my agency recruitment days, so I was doing different because it was, you know, IT recruiters. So, IT people. So they were like £450, £500 a day. But I actually got to the point where the client knew me so well and I knew them so well that I would just send CV and they'd hire them. And you're kind of going, that was the skill. And I think that, yes, I agree, Mark. We know how to sell, and I think that's why. But that's not the topic of today's show, even though we're off the rant already, which is awesome. So obviously somebody who was just complaining off air that I've been ridiculed for saying supper, yogurt, what else? Pants.
Yeah, that's my favourite.
Trousers. I've been saying trousers. I can't think of it.
Pants.
Oh my God, I'm buying this pair of what I would call trousers, pants, 3/4 cut off. And this middle-aged man walks in and said, "Where are your thongs?" And I lost it. I was like doubled up on the floor in stitches going, no, I don't want to visualize you in a G-string. No. Yes, obviously there are cultural differences, but also word differences. So why did you want this topic, Mark? What's going on? Do you feel like you're not being...
I think I've had a few beers, so it was just the first thing that came to mind. But on the topic of thongs, do you know what the Kiwis call thongs? Come on.
Jandals. No, that's a South African.
I do. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's jandals. It's jandals. The jandals. Yeah, so I still call them jandals because I came from the UK where they were flip-flops. Then I learned jandals, and now they're flipping thongs. And as far as I'm concerned, that's something you wear, not what you put on your face.
I was so shocked. That was the thing that got me. It was because I could immediately picture him in one, and I didn't want to. I couldn't erase that out of my head.
Cannot be unseen.
Cannot be unseen.
So
is it? I think some of the problem is you guys are so on the wrong time zone. Like, I was getting messages at 3 a.m. from people going, "Where are you?" Because the rest of the world's awake. I think that's some reason the rest of the world's forgotten about you guys. You do
realise that you're in the past, though. We're in the future. You are in the past. As much as recruitment.
Yeah, and occasionally considering. Oh, sorry. Occasionally, as much as we love you up there, we quite like the fact you sometimes forget we're down here because you're all a bit demented up there.
As much as you guys like to think you're ahead of the times with a lot of the recruitment practices.
Technically, you're ahead.
Guys are somewhere behind. Yes. Yeah. You know, so I think it's just interesting from a recruitment perspective. All the material that I tend to read, it seems you guys aren't doing. It seems like a lot of the corporate recruiters within the States are trying to do more and more adventurous things, but no one's talking about getting their one-on-ones right. I talk about this all the time. Hassanah's probably sick of me mentioning it, but
I haven't heard it.
Yeah,
I can just go get it.
So for me, whenever I'm speaking to other recruiters, they're always talking about new and inventive ways, exciting ways of doing things. And I go, well, hold on. Have you got your one-on-ones right?
Yeah.
Have you started at your bare basics and then been able to grow from there? Have you been able to track what you've done right and what you've done incorrectly before you start going through and saying, all right, we want to jump on and do Snapchat recruitment campaigns, we want to do Insta campaigns, we want to go to Pinterest. All right, people get these wonderful ideas, but it's like, well, hold on, mate.
Yeah.
What have you done from the get-go? Let's go back to your briefing before you start talking about all these wonderful new ways of doing things. And that does my head in the most. And you get a lot of people who get airtime about talking about the latest and greatest in terms of ways of doing recruitment. But you're like, cool. I understand there's a limited pool of talent, but what have you done? What's your basics? What's your elementary? Right?
Did you actually contact people and contact them?
Yeah.
Oh, that's just mad. Now you're
right. So I'm speaking
now.
at this conference in Kiev about messaging. I'm not talking about marketing messaging. I'm talking about how to get Hassanah to respond. Hassanah, it'd be nice to message your name correctly, to respond to an email or a phone call or whatever way you're getting, like how to use the right words to get them to respond when you call them with all your excitement. And they've come back and said something about engaging your talent pool. And I'm going, how did you get that topic out of what I said? I'm not talking about marketing. I'm talking about messaging, not messaging. And I'm like, oh, my God, we can't even amongst us have our words right now. I'm like, oh, frustrating.
It gets lost in translation, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's like when... Yeah, but it's when they talk about when you have this thing about, messaging to a talent pool. That's like, so what? You're going to slap it up against a wall and see something stick?
How are you tracking that?
Yeah, and you do still see that. You do absolutely still see that it goes on. And it was interesting, actually, when I moved from New Zealand over to Australia, because New Zealand, and still I will, being a Kiwi at heart, but the sourcing capability in New Zealand was miles ahead. So I walked in, looking after a bunch of IT and tech recruiters, and I'm like, all right, cool, let's have a look at this. And again, same sort of thing, but you're going, all right, well, how are you sourcing? What are you doing? How are you getting those things out? And they told me, and I went, do what now? Because their idea of sourcing was, well, it was like we put an ad up, which was generally badly written anyway. And I'm like, and then what else are you doing? So there wasn't actually that piece, whereas in New Zealand you had to. It's a small place, you had to get real good. And Kiwis are adept at going, ooh, what's that? Let's try it. Let's give it, it's a bit of the number 8 wow stuff of giving stuff a go. Whereas Australia hadn't suffered any drop of GDP growth for God knows what we're up to, 27 quarters. So there wasn't necessarily the need. And even today, you still get a level of pieces where you'll encounter people and, all they're doing is just putting an ad up. And again, like I said, it's like, that's not to say you shouldn't put ads up occasionally. It depends where you're messaging it. Yeah. But make it good. Yeah, but at least if you're going to do that, make it good. But there's also no point pouring a ton of people in the top of the funnel that aren't right. You're wasting recruiter time and you're wasting someone else's time. And then you're generally saying no. Like, for us, everybody we touch is either now or will be in the future a customer. So you've got to make sure those pieces are good. I want
to talk about candidate behaviour a little bit, right? So I love what Hassanah says about, we need to write better ads. But then if you think about candidate behaviour, this is one thing I've seen a fair bit of, and it does my head in the most. I went viral about a year ago because I posted a blog.
Don't bring that up again. No, because everyone's got looking for it again.
I'm done. That's it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. So, what I'm going to say is,
I'm sorry, can they not tease me, my show? Bring it up. Tell me.
So I went viral a year ago because I posted a blog and I did the usual thing that I do. I basically wrote a bunch of stuff just from my head without actually articulating what I wanted to say properly. Anyway, it wasn't well received. Got over 250,000 views and a bunch of likes and comments, and it's insane. All right. But ultimately, what I was driving at is candidate behavior. Specifically around grads. So at the time I'd written a job ad and I'd put a cheat sheet at the bottom of the ad saying, hey, listen, you're a grad, your CV probably sucks. So what's probably going to be better is if you write a tailored cover letter, right?
Yep.
And the amount of people that just completely disregarded that and didn't write a tailored cover letter or had 10 years of experience, right, that applied to the job was insane. And that was what my blog was about, saying, hey, pay attention, take every application seriously, because whilst, it's important, to apply and you've got to be in it to win it. So candidate behavior is, I'm unemployed, I'm looking for a job, bang, 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 apply. Yeah. Read. Pay attention to the ones that you actually really are interested in, and then follow the instructions, right? And so to what Hassanah was saying, candidate behavior is what we've got to look at, because there are a lot of people who are spraying and praying their applications, just like some recruiters are spraying and praying CVs, right? So we need to sort of get a little bit better at that, So
I don't feel either side really talk to each other, like globally. I think it's everywhere.
Everyone's scared to pick up the phone, right?
No, but we are so far ahead of the curve, right? So we have watched technology come in and recruitment change. We're all like, well, of course you'd fill out a LinkedIn profile, and of course you'd follow me on Twitter, and why aren't you doing these things? Job seekers, if they've been in a role, particularly 5 or 6 years, are kind of going, oh my God, the world's changed, I don't know what to do. And if they've been in even longer, I have conversations with people who haven't had to look for a job in 10 years, and they come out and they're lost. I do think there needs to be a lot more education on that side. There are a few people doing that. There's probably not enough in the real.
Well, the ones that are doing that, there's a lot of people who are doing it that aren't the best at doing it. And you see it when people get made redundant. There's those outsourced centres. The amount of resumes I've received that have gone through the likes of those businesses, and I'm like, what the heck have you done? Right? It's insane.
I just say that.
I was going to say is that the piece around sort of like ads and all of those types of things. You should be where your candidates live. You should always be where your candidates live. But you should. I would. It's all good. Is that some of how we've evolved on some cases, we've made it unpleasant for everybody. There was all this push on, make it mobile optimized so everybody can apply for a job. Brilliant. So then people are applying for 160 jobs because they then think it's a numbers game, and then the recruiters are hating it because they've got like a million CVs to look at.
So my favourite thing to talk about, and people who've been on the show a few times, sorry, John, you've heard this before. For example, like I do the site:/glassdoor.com/interviews, inverted commas, never heard back. And I did one, and this just got written up. This was for Twitter. So this is going in my presentation. Recruiting coordinator interview. Right? I got ghosted. I had a 3 phone interviews, met with 5 other recruiters and the hiring manager at Twitter after a long day of interviewing, sent out my thank you emails the next day. I followed up with my recruiter and hiring manager, but never heard back. This is the best bit. I used Streak, so I saw that they read my emails, but they literally ghosted me. This is such an amazing company, and they need to learn how to communicate with their candidates. It's been 7 months since I interviewed. I still haven't got a reject email. LOL. Really bad candidate experience. And of course, people find that helpful. So it's like everything we're doing can be undone now thanks to the other side of the internet. Not the we're spraying jobs, they're spraying us.
The interesting thing I think nobody ever really talks about much is, we talk about candidate experience, we talk about hiring manager experience, we talk about all of those things. What we miss is recruiter experience. If you've got recruiters who are not properly trained, so they don't, they haven't got the training underneath it, they're not properly supported, and really importantly, people don't understand what their capacity loads are. You can't pour 70, 80, 90 recs on top of a recruiter and expect any form of service to any of it. So if you get that wrong, everything falls apart. And if you think about that ghosting piece, yes, one that's shocking.
Coordinator interview,
but on the other end,
even funnier. That was like
I know. So one, that is absolutely appalling, I grant you. But number 2, is it because then everybody's all over their case about what are you doing on these next 30 recs? There's that piece of actually going, no, you can't just keep piling it in there without actually understanding what that is, and having a plan B of most people run the max capacity loads in-house in particularly, at max or over max. And then but we want to give real personalized service. That's wonderful. How are you
I suppose
expecting them
in
to
your
do that?
company as well, it's quite easy to go and say, okay, if I piss off these 30 people, they're not going to buy our product. Whereas in some of us at B2B, it's a little more challenging to say we're going to lose business. But it's not just the hiring up front, isn't it, as well?
Yeah. And, you know, on our side, it's we get some reasonable press coverage, and you know that there is reasonable. So there is a real focus in terms of customer experience. And I remember I did a presentation in-house probably about 6 months ago internally, and I said, right, I'm going to stop talking about candidates. I'm going to start talking about customers. I'm going to start talking about how many customers we are handling on month. And I put the slide up, and they went, oh my Lord. I said, these are the customers, you know, they are there now or will be. So we've got to give these people a good experience, which means also, which also means, Mr. Hiring Manager, you do need to respond, and my recruiters don't need to chase you down to get a response after you've interviewed, so we can give some feedback. You know, it's sometimes if you can flick it, you get actually, you know, it suddenly go, oh. I said, and you know, it's a huge focus. We've really got to do better in the customer experience piece. This is all
I love it, Hassanah. Honestly, that's it. I've been having the exact same conversations here with our team. You know, again, being in consultancy, it's the same thing. Every person that applies for a job is someone that we might be working on site with. You know, these guys could be the people that actually engage with us. And I know that recently there's been a couple of senior level people that we've gone through and put through our interview process, and we've not managed to get them across the line. But they've said, listen, in this new role that I've taken, we're actually going to be needing this analytics function done. I'll be on the phone with you straight away to organise a meet. So again, people are going to remember the way that you made them feel, right? The manner in which you engage and you show your professionalism. Right. So we've done a couple of things here where we've you know, put a little bit, a few KPIs in to make sure that we're getting back to people within 72 hours max. Right, you apply for a job, you're getting an email response. Right, I always talk about my experience where I was out of work for close to 3 months, and I applied for something like 120, 130 roles. I emailed people, got ghosted by people. I sent emails to people. Same thing. I used HubSpot to track emails. People read them and just didn't reply. I'm looking at people going, how can you run a talent function if this is the way you treat people? Right? And there were some actually notable people who we know, Hassanah, we know well, who did that. And you just look and think, are you serious? Yeah,
I just don't like it, dude.
I want to know how many people you've got to get off to find out who.
Oh, jeez. They're easily noticeable. They don't appear much in our SIDREC meetups.
Though is you're the second person, like you had tracking. Why is it we think people aren't tracking us? Like we
but isn't that, that's what Intello does.
I heard of that one. It's like you've just got sales. Why wouldn't they track our openings? Like I don't know. I know Stephen has read his email. So
and
sorry, keep talking. Don't stop on my.
That's all right. That's all right. You're like, you know, it was like, we lost you there. Oh my God, we've lost her. Yeah. I think this is where we sometimes don't quite get it right in recruitment, is that, you know, we've encouraged a spamming approach to candidates in terms of approaching candidates. We slap ads all over the place without being targeted about them. Then we've encouraged, we've educated a candidate pool that says, oh, look, you can apply right away to this job and this job and this job. And because we don't get back to them because there's far too many in the pipe and we don't have the time, they then learn it's a numbers game. I'm going to apply for everything. So we've just made the whole darn thing horrible. And there has to be a point when we pull back and go, the reality is what we're trying to do in recruitment and in-house, and this is also exists for agencies as well, is that we're there to make the company more successful. Who we bring in the door helps the company be successful and actually hits its goals. So there's something really crucial about what we do. So we've got to do it better. Like, you've got to keep iterating it. You've got to keep trying some things. But you can't keep going on the way that we've been going. There has to be a time when we go, look, you know, the reality is the emperor's got no clothes here. We've got to change.
So what do we do? What can we do? Let's brainstorm it now. Let's work together. What's the difference? How do we change it?
Hang on.
The fact that you get it right, so that's an age thing because we've been doing it longer now. Because we came in you could just spam everyone. Oh, actually, back when you could send an email, people were politely responded. Before, you know, response rates were great. But I mean, yeah, you're right. How do we make it? I mean, is it a cultural difference? Or is it just an education? Is it a lack of training? What is it? You're right, Mark. Let's do it.
Yeah, you know what?
We have exactly.
Is it a cultural difference? Yeah. Is it a cultural difference? I don't know if it is or not. You know, there are, you know, sometimes it's about some of the brands. So as an example, back, you know, in New Zealand, New Zealand's got an incredible brand name to it. You know, and I haven't looked at it lately, but I doubt they advertise much because most people will approach them. They've probably got more of a candidate management issue in terms of people approaching them, and they're like, oh, how do we, you know, help or not help them and make sure that they get a good experience, even if it's no on the way out the door. So sometimes it's around where that brand sits on it, and then other times it is a case of, you know, that stuff goes out. Does it come back then to what you're rewarding, the behavior you're rewarding? Yeah, so one in-house, definitely, I think you need to, you know, there has to be more of a conversation about, you know, recruiter capacity loadings and things along those lines. That's why I think some of the AI tech has become really, really, you know, much more, you know, not just interesting, but people are jumping on and doing it, because there's a level where then some of that good stuff can take away, you know, an aspect of, you know, no conversation with people. At least they're getting something, that you're getting a better experience. You're getting a bit of a pre-screening of a chatbot that's intuitive enough to actually, you know, have a conversation with you. I think some of that actually is plugged in to actually say, look, let's make this a little bit better, which is great. But then you have to invest.
Where they've arrived on your career site. When as a Landry Tech, we're doing that in Germany, they've got it. So you've arrived.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, it like pops up, goes, oh, you know, hi Mark, why are you here? How can I help? You know, and it's like, it's keeping you there. I don't mind that. When it's used for sourcing, I'm more concerned.
Yeah, great. Oh, no. Sourcing's completely different. To my mind, sourcing is completely different. You know, sourcing is around the fact that you've got a really good, clear brief, or there's this thing you... Yeah, or not. But, you know, as clear as it gets, because there's no point starting something without that, right? And then actually being really calculated about where you find the people, what that looks like, making sure you're going after the right people, and then really clear and really compelling, you know, some form of communication to them that gets them to come forward to you, that you're actually going to get them interested enough on the hook. That stuff should be targeted. It shouldn't be spam.
I know that. So if we're talking about, you know, different ways to do things, I've posted a clickbait teaser recently.
Drawing.
Hey.
Sorry, say that again.
You go really quiet.
I know how. I'm all right with tone, aren't I? So when we're talking about trying to do things new and different, I posted a teaser. It was really lovely clickbait the other day about a blog that I'm writing at the moment. We've done something a little bit different here. I'm calling it applying CV-less lead, right? So a CV-less apply function. All right. And what we've done is we've put public tests available on our website for people to come through if they, you know, want to show us what you got, you know, Rick and Morty quote. Right? You can jump onto our website. You can run through a couple of different tests that we have. And off the back of those tests, if you're kicking ass, if you're, you know, passing and you've got a high pass mark, you can say, are you interested in exploring career opportunities with us? Off the back of that, we'll proactively jump on, have a phone call with you. Our back-end processes will find your LinkedIn profile, so we've got an idea of what you're working with, but you don't need an actual CV to apply. It'd be nice to have it so you can understand your story, but it removes a lot of that unconscious bias that people talk about, right? And that's working well.
To show you that they've got the skills.
Yes, exactly. Right. So that's working well for us at the moment. It's just you know, taking people from that test to phone call stage. We're able to do it really well with our ATS lever, which is awesome. But it's
there's no sponsors. It's all good. It's just Audra and I. you know.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's one of the big conversations I see. Have you heard of the DBR Slack channel, which is the in-house recruitment Slack channel that runs?
No.
It runs. I don't know if you heard of it. I'm sure you guys will be welcome to it. There's people all over. But one of the biggest things that which ATS is like this constant. So yeah, if you like leave it level it goes.
Oh God, yeah. You get the same thing on HR, HR open source. It comes up reasonably regularly.
Honestly, I kept tagging Leela in those posts, and I'm like, Leela, here, man, right? Lever, Leela, right? But it's technology. I think we're relying on it a little bit too much.
Yeah,
okay?
It helps.
Yeah. But people are hiding.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're not taking advantage of it. So when people start talking about AI, it's like, cool, you're going to have a chatbot on there, but you're relying solely on me. And where a lot of people are failing with the implementation of something like a chatbot is they're not populating it, right? It's a machine learning algorithm, and the biggest headache associated with it, because we were building our own, I'm too busy to do it. So I tried to farm out, I tried to crowdsource the questions that people wanted answered to make my life a little bit easier. And that failed miserably. But you have to populate it with the questions and the answers, right? And that takes forever. If someone asks a question that doesn't pick up, there's no answer.
Yeah.
And I think when people start talking about AI, it's just the whole concept, but there are multiple areas underneath that exist, right?
I get it in my spot because I'm teaching the social recruiting, so of course everyone just hits up with, AI can do sourcing. And I just
no.
I'm telling the story about I am an open book on social media, yet there are things that I don't tell because I just don't think that directly relate to me wanting to work in an office or for a company. And it's just like, if you don't talk to me, you won't know that. So
No, and you never will. And this is when, every now and again you see these ones come up and go, will technology replace recruitment? No, not unless you're recruiting robots, possibly at that point, all the way up to then. No, it never will. But what it will have to force is better relationship management skills. It will have to force better aspects around that and being a trusted advisor and being able to communicate really, really effectively. That is what recruitment and sourcing, that ability to actually bring somebody along that journey and get them to look at something that they probably weren't at all interested to the point that you sent them a message or picked up the phone or gave them a call, or that's the critical survival key. And that's what.
So what tool could you not live without? Love you. Yeah, okay, fine.
My brain followed out the phone.
Oh, you have the better answer. That's not fair.
It's empathy. It's that understanding. It's like the knowing. It's like all of that. No, you're right. Absolutely. Oh my God, this But even, I mean, weirdly, I went video, then I went brain. That was exactly how my head went, actually, because I'm sitting here on a video chat, but I could have sent you a video. I'm forever encouraging, if you refuse to call someone, send them a video message, for fuck's sake. Like, all your excitement and your energy and your, 30 seconds. Anyway.
Yeah, I like that. But the interesting thing is I actually use my phone as a phone. Amazingly enough, it's like when somebody sends me an email, I'll more than likely pick up the phone and call. You sent me a message at 6 a.m. because it was your 7 a.m. going, let's call before this chat. I'm like, no, let's not do that at 6 a.m. Yeah, we like that afterwards, but
I said about the fact I'm on my Brit number, so it was like, oh no. Otherwise, I'd be like, sure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But that I do use the phone as a phone a lot, yes, and the rest of it is because I've got all of, my social media in there and, I've got, YouTube channels and TED Talks and all of those things, but I use it a lot as a phone. I'll call more often. It's like at work, you'll get a quick Skype message and sometimes I'll get up and walk round because it's better to actually have those conversations face to face, or I'll walk the floors and go down if I need to talk to a leader, because everyone's like, oh, we can't get hold of them. I'm like, gone and had a look, they're 2 floors down from us. So it's these things that you still get the cut.
I mean, you think about your own inbox, someone sends you a message and it just gets lost. It's like, this morning when I said one of those messages was, are you going to be on this call? I was like, well, no, because I told you in an email reply to your email that I wasn't going to be on the call, and you forgot that because it got a lot, and you're just going, oh God, like one little thing. But yeah, so there's the ability to pick up. But you won't have heard this because it was on a previous show, but I did I won't say the companies that won't help you, but I basically took the IT hiring managers and the sources and sat them together and got them to communicate. It was so much fun.
Wow.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I swear to God I need to do more of it, because it was just, I basically facilitated the conversation, but it started with this, we get irrelevant CVs, we get this, blah, blah, blah. And I went, so how much time did you spend talking to the recruiter about what you wanted first? Silence.
No. Beautiful, beautiful.
If you won't invest the time, you'll save hours down the line.
Yeah. I know he's actually gone on to a very, very large job offshore now, but it was a head of TA at one of the big outfits around town, and he had always had, I've got this, is a rule about making sure you get proper briefings, but he was telling me one day that he had a hiring manager on the phone trying to complain about one of his recruiting business partners because she wouldn't just put an ad up, and he was like, okay, well, no, okay, so talk to me about it. So it turned out is that his recruiting business partner refused to kick a role off unless somebody was going to give at least half an hour of a briefing. And because this man refused point blank to allow a half an hour, she's like, well, it's obviously not a priority for you. At the point that this role becomes a priority for you, let's talk. He said it was the funniest thing.
I love it, but why not?
It was brilliant. Yeah, and he completely backed her. He was like, well, you're actually now picking up the phone and spent 15 minutes complaining at me about this. That's 15 minutes you could have spent with her with a briefing. How do you expect her to go and find somebody for you that's right 100%. If you're not investing the time?
I don't understand how that's not a just standard protocol. Like that is a recruitment 101, right? There are a lot of people that are getting excited. Yeah. Oh.
Everything we've talked about is quite standard. But what we haven't done is put it in. Why haven't we put it in? Like we guys have. We're older. Like I keep saying, I think it's an age thing. But where is the fundamental thing where we're going wrong? Why is it we know and they don't know?
Because they're not being trained. I think there are people that are.
Very good.
So, you know what I'm saying? I think it depends where you sit. If you're an agency, or if you're internal.
Let's talk about internal.
Yeah. So,
both internal.
Do you know what?
Yeah,
so you can go. I'll be scared.
Yeah, definitely.
Honestly, a lot of
I know. Don't. Play nicely. There's there's a lot of there is. There are still some agencies that are really doing this really effectively and doing it really, really well. As much as you can say there's some in-house functions that absolutely nail it, and then others that don't. And that information, people know what that piece looks like. It's an interesting thing of how we've got away from it all. Is it because our industry has quite high turnover? We know recruitment's not for everybody. It always tended to be, you could do it or you couldn't. You loved it or you didn't. I adore our profession. I'm extremely proud of what we do and what we actually contribute into businesses and to people. We change lives in terms of what we do. So I'm really, yeah. Exactly, but then you take it seriously. If you understand this, the aspect that if you miss a great candidate or you treat a good candidate badly, the impact of that can be really big down the line. So if you understand it, you tend to care more. There's a personal connection to that. No matter what else is going on, you're going to make sure that those pieces don't get missed. But do we train people properly? Okay, so then the question is, do we train people, or do we just go, here you go, here's off you go?
How many people do you know that are senior within internal that don't come to events, they don't jump on webinars, they're not engaging, right? But they're in these positions and they're not looking at the most progressive way to do things. They're stuck in an archaic method, right, or approach to recruitment. There are so many ways that we can make what we do flow better, right? We can automate things and make our life so much easier. But people are using outdated tools, right, which make their function so much more clunky than what it needs to be. Right? Oh gosh, honestly,
yeah.
I honestly, I'm talking to someone that can't use that that Chrome extension on the Internet Explorer, and I'm looking at them going, what? Like, what's that?
it's the bane of my existence.
Facebook. Why not? Well, you know, they're using their phone to get access. Why not monitor their access? Like,
Cat, we run up.
Yeah. But this is it. It's about training. So I in all my roles, you know, I run Twitter tutorials. I run LinkedIn tutorials, because then when you educate people and give them the why, so you have people go, oh well, you know, why should I be there? And you know, for recruiters with Twitter, and I'd bring up people like Katrina and everybody else around the globe, and know this is why, because this is like instant learning in your pocket. You can connect and talk with global experts. You know, then that ability to reach out is there. You know, like stuff that Lars and with HR open source is amazing. You know, and I literally will tell every single HR person I ever meet. Is I'm like, well, yeah, on Facebook, and they'll generally go, yeah. I said, you need to on HR open source, because you know, every time you're trying to reinvent the wheel, guarantee you someone else has put that information out in the group.
How many people do you know?
It's there. It's
connected. So I love that. You're talking about HROS. You're talking about HROS.
We're like the 5%. So what you're going to say is there's too many people in their bubble unaware. They're not curious enough to be aware.
Yeah, but they won't use Facebook for work.
Yeah. So we actually do have Facebook for work. But the thing is that when you show people, that's quite cool. Really cool. But when you take it through and you show people and you show why, they get it and they get on it. Yeah. Now some will get on it and absolutely own across it. Others will, you know, lurk around it on a wee while, but at least you've opened up the door, because you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. So unless we actually, you know, start and keep the education piece and introduce this to people and go, come along to this. If they're in an environment where it's not necessarily encouraged because their leaders don't know, you can't really blame them for being stuck in this little bubble, because nobody's showing them. No one's talking to them about it.
You'll get the ignorance on it, and that sounds harsh, but I do actually know. That's my point. You get what I'm saying. So I'm with this recruitment agency, and they're all in the trade space, and we're talking about, I don't know, plumbers, say, and they're going, but I go to this group, and it's local to my area, and I put my advert in this group, and 50,000 people see it, and I'm going, no, you'd be lucky if 500 people see it. And they go, no, I put it in the group, and that's how I'm using it. I'm going, could you just let me get to the bit where I talk about sourcing? Like, let me show you where the plumbers are. And you can just get in contact with them in 2.5 seconds, rather than stick it out there and hope that one of them sees it. And you just,
let's use a publication that comes out once a month that people are going to read. So what you're talking about is, let's put something in a paper-based publication that is produced once a month that someone might read, right? Trade, really? You know, I had the same. I remember when I was at Samsung, and I had to recruit aircon tech sales people, and they're like, "Yeah, we've got to put it in this publication." I'm like, "Yeah, but it runs once every 3 months, and do you know how many people are actually buying it? Is it free? Do they pay for it? We don't nudge. Put it in there. No. You know, proactive headhunting. It was just, I did some crazy stuff there. I actually I gave a fake site, and I said that I wanted to get an install, and the day before, I bloody cancelled it. I had a tech call me for an appointment, and I said, listen, are you looking around for work? I ended up hiring this person. This is me being super dodge, right? But that was fun.
I started with a freaking lie.
So?
I think that's come up between the three of us is it's curiosity. It's that wanting that interest to go above and beyond. So then I'll go back to, how do you interview for curiosity? Because I brought this up in a group recently, one of the recruitment groups, going, how do we interview for that? Because that's what we really need our recruiters to have, right? So then have to get up and go to the conference.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So you could simply ask them, what are you reading? And I don't necessarily mean it has to be a hard copy book. That I love my books. I'm slightly obsessed. But it's like, what are you reading? Where are you reading it? What are you seeing? What are you viewing? So you actually start to get an idea of it. I mean, there is a level where, you know, if they are on any form of the social media platforms, you can see who they're following. So you actually start to see what it is that they're consuming. It's difficult, because you should always hire on curiosity, because curious people will always learn, will always try and seek out new ways of doing things. You know, you're in a good space for somebody like that. You're absolutely right.
Right? What do you enjoy doing? When you're not at work, what do you get up to? What are you doing? Is it, you know, are you a TV show fan?
Dodgy habits.
Hey? I want to know.
Yeah, I can open up a bunch
I love
of
it. I want to know what interests you. What's your drive? Where does that come from? Right? Are you someone who wants to understand how things work? I love people who tinker. Right? I'm interviewing. Here's a little plug. I'm recruiting for our team here in Sydney. I'm looking for a junior. I was speaking with Hassanah about this last night. But a person who we're bringing for an interview has studied as a librarian, and she's super quirky. I love it. But on her CV, she writes into cosplay, right? Loves cats, loves doing puzzles and riddles and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, cool.
CV? Oh my god.
Yeah. But I'm like, cool.
She's a risk taker. She's a risk taker.
And I'm just going to go, cool. It's going to be quirky. That's someone that wants to get out of their comfort zone and doesn't mind being a bit peculiar, because we're all very, very odd individuals, right? We may come across as normal out there, but we've all got a very peculiar approach to things.
We're not.
Right.
Going back to, because this is going way, way back to the original, what we were posited out as the conversation, like the difference is, you forget that. But here's an interesting thing. We all three of us, basically said, yes, we didn't, go to university. Yet you think about how obsessed a lot of the sourcing tools are with schools. Like, if you go to LinkedIn and it's like, which schools, and you read a lot of articles, particularly out of North America, which are around if you're recruiting in these schools, and it's like, where's your diversity in there? Where are you going to get diversity of thought at all if all you're doing is basically homogenizing your workforce? You're never going to get innovation within that piece. You're never going to get that spark of people who don't see eye to eye about things, but finds another way of doing something. That's the bit
Can I just point out, we've got 8.5 minutes left. We've got 8.5 minutes left, and I'm just going to say this. I'm so proud that, and this is the second time it's going to be said, LinkedIn has only come up once this whole time. I'm just so happy about that, right? We all utilize that tool.
No wonder they shut my account, right?
Oh, goodness.
No.
Did you get locked out?
No, I bitched about them so much. So my last big blog rant that did go mental on there about would you pay for this service? I basically ended up going to the office in San Francisco, but the head of customer experience, I'm on a video chat just in case you walk past half naked like you are. My foster brother's just come home. It's his house, by the way, I'm sitting in. Sorry, how embarrassing. So I ended up having this conversation with this woman from customer experience, and actually they've been really good, at least talking. They never change anything. Yeah. They don't really care about the users. It's all the money-making thing.
Oh, of course.
And you do look at Facebook and you think they have given us so much free stuff, so the users are all there loving it, communicating, groups we've talked about, everything. Yeah. And then, they stick an ad in front of you and you're like, whatever.
Kat, we started talking about this before. Yeah. I was talking about Facebook for work. But this is the difference between people actually care about their career and understanding about the latest and greatest, and people that don't. There are so many people, and we've seen this through our meetup that we run. There are so many people who are scared to jump on social and engage in work-related conversations outside of ours, right? We don't care. We've been doing it from day dot. When people started talking about Facebook graph search, we didn't have access to it down in Australia. And so there's a way around it. And you change your language to US and you're like, cool, that's it. That's it. And we've been doing that since it was quick. You can access it, right? To search candidates, to engage with candidates, to have conversations about career.
You're right. That happens in the US far more. And I always have this conversation saying, we don't go to work and talk about work. We go to work and talk about what happened on the weekend and what drinks we've got for our kids are and how dogs are, and we have all this. And I said, but you can go to LinkedIn and say something personal and be crucified for it. You go and say that something's at work on Facebook, nobody gives a shit. Yeah. And that's why, again, Facebook has succeeded. Yeah. There is still a very big resistance in the US, though, compared to here and the UK for the person.
Really?
Amongst normal people.
Really?
Don't forget we're the 5%.
What was that sound?
That's interesting. But I always
no, I said we're the 5%. Yeah.
So are you a big fan of Oleg on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Do you know what? I hadn't come across him until and now I'm like, oh God, just because somebody said his name in a Slack channel, now he's in my feed.
The algorithms are scary, aren't they? As I think it's Bill Borman says, always use the data for good and not evil. There's an ability with what we've got now to.
I'll say that out loud. Right. Anyway, so who have I got next week? My Kiwi. Oh, Dale, Claire, Bert. I know, and Leslie Taylor. I'm super excited. They'll be that marketing messaging side, and I'll be still going, but can we go back to sourcing?
Yes.
They're both awesome women. Really, really awesome. Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Huh?
Dale's one of our SIDREC meetup organising committee members. She's amazing. She's so cool.
Yeah, and Leslie. Yeah, and Leslie Taylor has just done some amazing stuff at the warehouse group, like absolutely amazing. And she's a fantastic person as well.
Kiwis are doing so much better than the rest of the world, then.
They're more social.
We were look, you're a very small country, and so you have to try stuff, and actually being noticed somewhere on a global stage or doing things, you've got to give stuff a go. And it is very much Kiwi culture of what they call number 8 wow, where it's like, let's give it a crack, see if it works. No harm. So there's very much that jumping piece. But New Zealand's fabulous. Is when people talk about 6 degrees of separation, it doesn't exist in New Zealand. It's all 1 degree of separation. It really is. So you have, and so reputation is really important. But the fact is that then what that means is because there's relationships, people will reach out to other people and go, how are you doing this, or what's happening here, or can I come and see what you're doing? And so the actual knowledge gets shared quite a fair chunk. And I think it might be worth asking Leslie, because I think they still do it, is that the employment brand leaders in the big shops in town, they get together regularly to sort of like have a chat and find out what's happening. So that sharing of information rises the rest of us.
There's employer branding group on Facebook, which is nuts for that as well. And you're getting like global heads from GE and places like that, all sharing stuff.
I think everyone talks about US as having a very forward-thinking approach to recruitment. Honestly, I think politically, from a social standpoint and from a recruitment perspective, NZ is the place to look at. Honestly, the way that, if you were looking at it from a political perspective, the way that the native people, the official owners of the land, and the everyone that's come, the way that society is engaged together is amazing. And you look at it from an actual community perspective in terms of rec, if that's employer branding, sourcing, talent, whatever it is, everyone actually engages. They don't stay in their little bubble. They'll have a conversation. Like that is, if the ground didn't shake and it wasn't so bloody windy in Wellington, I'd be over in NZ tomorrow because they are so cool.
Oh, yeah, come on. They are cool, but look at it this way. In New Zealand, the ground tries to kill you. Here, all the wildlife tries to kill you.
And I get the eat beef from the east. Right, we are so out of time. Can I just thank you both so much. Mark, you for the push, obviously, to do my Aussie special. So yes, I need to. I should do more of these, but I'm never back. You said. We can
do it. We can do it. Get us involved. Audra, get on.
I know, but you guys have to be up at 3 a.m. or something to come on the show.
So people want to do it. People want to share knowledge.
Yeah, look, my son's just started rowing, so I'm up at 4:30 in the morning to take him
rowing.
We should pre-record, to be fair, but we always do it live. It's much more fun. The side channel's been very chatty, unfortunately. So I think that my Brit lot are normally awake, but they're not. But anyway, thank you both. I shall see you next week. Yes.
Oh yeah. No,
thank you, definitely.
Right.
Yes.
Thanks.
All right, ladies. Have an amazing day.
Bye. Thank you.
See you guys.
Bye.